In this video demonstration, I'm going to show you how to make a card using the brand new forest frame from the John Next Door Christmas 2021 collection. This is a beautifully detailed die with all trees, and if you look carefully you'll see there's little birds in it and all sorts of little things. So I'm going to make something relatively simple with it, but there's loads more inspiration on Facebook and social media on the Crafting with John Next Door and Crafts 2 group. But first of all, I'm going to use this detailed frame because you get two plain dies, a detailed frame die and the trees die within the set, and I'm going to start by using the detailed frame die. Now, in combination with the other dies in the set, you can make larger or smaller frames, make it just as a frame. This time I'm just going to cut it into a piece of card to give me a lovely little detail at the back. So here I've got a piece of white, just white standard card, 300 GSM, and I've cut this down to 5 3/4 by 5 3/4, as it's a nice size and it fits beautifully through all the machines. So I'm just going to pop that through, and we're just going to cut that. Now, as it has details, I'll bring the die machine in. As it has the detail on both sides, depending on your machine, you may need to rotate the die. As you can see, all of these have cut down the front and the side, but you may need to rotate it to cut it in your own machine, and try and keep your plates a little bit cleaner perhaps than I do. So I'll pop that out. We'll just pop a few of these out. You're able to flick them, but you can see these just fall out really easily, and they're almost like a little heart pattern with a beautiful little dot on top, like a little flower. So again, useful for all year round. Really makes me think of spring, actually, if I put yellow behind it. So we take all of those out, and all I've done already is just matted and layered this onto a piece of olive green and then moss green in the Crafts 2 linen card. And I cut the olive green to 5 3/4 plus an 8, so 5 7/8, and then the green layer is cut to 6 by 6. And what I'm going to do is I've cut myself a card blank at 7 by 7 square, again in the same white, and I'm just going to attach that on. So we'll just cut that one, and again, this is a great starting point for any card you want to make. So I'm just pop that on there, but again, really nice and fresh. So again, doesn't have to be about Christmas. So now we want to do the topper, and I'm going to use the die that comes within the set, which is the plain square. And what I've done is I've already cut one in the lighter olive green. I've cut one with the detail in the moss green, and I want one to go on top in white. So I want to show you how to do that. So here we go, just move these ones out. So your temptation would be to take your piece of white, take your frame die, and take your detail and cut them together. If you do that, it will fail. There's too much detail in here to cut out along with the outside line. So what you want to do first is cut yourself a plain white square. So just cut that one through really simply. And it's far easier to cut multiple dies in multiple passes. It's one of the biggest tips I could ever give, is to do it that way. And because I'm using quite a thick card, just use my glue eraser, then it helps. So then, clean my die out. I can place my die evenly on there and just tape it down using the design. Now, this is a very detailed die, so there are a couple of little tricks I use to get this to cut. The first one is, the first pass, I put it, if I'm using an A4 machine, definitely to the side. The A5 machine, it's not as important. Then I put the metal shim on top, then my plate on top, and I run that through forward and back. So I give that 2 cuts. Now you can check it at this point, but you can invariably find we're asking an awful lot there. So what I do to make that clean out perfectly is I swap around and I put the metal shim on the bottom, I rotate the die and put the clear plate on top. And that helps get those little bits out, because the die is pushing down onto that hard metal surface, which just helps it finish. So it's always worth it with this die, and I'd rather say to you, very, very detailed. It's like a laser cut. So you just sometimes need to take a little bit of time. But can you see there? Everything's cut out. And all you would need to do then is to prick that out. So you can give it the flick, but you'll find a lot of these pieces are very small, but as you can see, they fall out. And the easiest way to get them out is to push against your finger or thumb. That helps when there's one that's a little bit tough, or put a piece of foam behind. But as it's boring to watch me prick all these little pieces out, I can't help it when I've got started. It's almost like an addiction. There we go. You can see how detailed that is. I've actually got one that I've already done just here. So I'm going to take the green, darker green, and the white, and I'm just going to use some spray glue for speed. So I'm going to spray glue the back of both of these, and I'm using Craft Mount by 3M, and give them a really good coating. And then I'm going to take the green and I'm going to put that on to the lighter green, and we get a really nice, to me it's very, very summery, this card. We get a lovely little detail there. And then I'm going to take the white, and if you can see, I'm just going to offset it. So I'm just offsetting, checking all the different points to make sure the offset is about the same, and that gives a really 3D look. Hopefully you can see there, without you having to use any foam tape or anything. And of course I've just spotted, which always annoys me, I've got a little bit here that's just sticking out still, that's not been cleaned out. So let's just get that little piece of white, there we go, card out there. So we've got a really simple, but it looks 3D on this. So what I've then done, I've got a little bit of a matching ribbon. This is actually seam binding, and this is in a sagey green colour. So I'm just going to take off, I've got foam tape on the back, so I'm just going to take off the protective, and I'm going to wrap, let's get this in the right place. So I'm going to wrap a piece around, there we go, this, just to add a little bit of detail or interest. And let's just trim that out. There we go. We'll bring in our card blank and we'll pop that on. And again, you'll see then when it goes against the white, you can see you've got that beautiful dark green shadow on one side, which gives it an even more 3D look. And then I've made a little bow in the same sort of colour, which we can pop on. And to do that, I'm going to use a couple of glue dots. So a couple of glue dots either side of the knot. And what I say is the glue dots are for now, and we need something forever. So put a little bit of wet glue. I'm using the Craft Artist Quick Grab glue. I'm going to go that way. Pull those out so you can see the strip goes all the way across. And there we go. Really simply, I'm just going to trim him down a little bit more and him down a little bit more. So again, could be for Christmas, but could be for any time of year. Beautiful, subtle, simple, and by using the glue there and the glue dots, that bow is sort of stuck for now, but also stuck forever.